Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to the October Literacy Through Poetry Workshop and Open Mic. I'm your host, Sister Joy, and this is a monthly series that is presented by the Office of the Poet Laureate through the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. And we do so in partnership with the Nora Roberts Foundation, the Prince George's County Memorial Library System, and Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning. Welcome. We thank our sponsors. We thank you for coming out to be a part of this literary literacy National Arts and Humanities Month celebration. So I love to celebrate. And the best way for me to celebrate is poetry. As poet laureate, I'd be in trouble if I said anything else. So, for those who are with us today, welcome. I want to make sure that everybody has their cameras on. We want to see who is in the house today and their mics muted. Unless you're speaking, your mic should be muted. And of course, when you do have an opportunity to participate in the open mic for those who are not on the program, make sure that your mic is active so that we can hear you. But that'll be the second hour of today. Um, I want to introduce briefly for those who were not with us for the last 5 or 10 minutes. Joshua Reynolds, he is our IT tech guru, and he is the facilitator, the Zoom operator, making sure that everything runs smoothly and that all of our technical issues are handled without anybody even noticing that they exist. Joshua Reynolds is actually the marketing and communications director for the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. So we greatly appreciate his support in this event today. Joshua, do you have any announcements or information that you'd like to share before we get underway?
No.
Not today. Okay, so it seems like everybody must have adhered to those instructions already. That's great. Let's see, I want to make sure that everybody knows that there will be snapshots of different handouts and different documents and things that can be used throughout today's workshop. One of them that I want to bring to your attention now, and I can email it to anybody if you put your email in the chat if you don't have the opportunity to print it out on screen, and that is an evaluation form. So we want to know how we're doing with this particular series. And if you have suggestions or ideas about what you'd like to see the Office of the Poet Laureate do for the community, or how we might be able to even enhance this series. We really only have two more. This is a year-long series, and we have two more, November and December. But hey, it's never too late to improve. So we want to hear from you. And that again is the Poet Laureate evaluation form. It is available. Just put your email in the chat if you can't print it out from the screen. Let's see. Today we're excited because as part of our recognition for National Arts and Humanities Month, we reached for the top and we called on the Youth Poet Laureate of Prince George's County, Marissa Michelle, to be our featured poet and workshop facilitator. So you will hear poetry by Marissa, and she will be conducting a 20 or 30-minute workshop shortly. But we want to make sure that everybody knows that we have royalty in the house. Marissa is actually, she's coming down to the end of her year as 2020 Youth Poet Laureate. And she's been on roller skates since she came in. Let me share a little bit of information for those who may not know her. Marissa Michelle is, of course, as I stated, the 2020 Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate. And she is a second generation American of Haitian and Puerto Rican heritage. She is a scholastic, nationally award-winning teen writer, published author, and visual artist. Marissa is also known for being an outspoken advocate for women of color, immigrants, and underserved communities. Her writing tends to reflect diverse experiences of living in America and center on topics of gender, race, and class. She became the County Youth Poet Laureate. She became the County Youth Poetry Ambassador at the age of 13 and won 4 regional awards in the prestigious Scholastic Arts and Writing 2018 competition. There will be more information about Marissa on the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Poet Laureate page. And we want to make sure that if you have questions for Marissa, you can reach out to her. Marissa, could you put your contact information in the chat at this time so that anybody who wants to connect with our Youth Poet Laureate, that's one of the things we pride ourselves in, is making poetry accessible to everyone. And one of the ways that we do that is to make sure that you know how to contact the Poet Laureate and the Youth Poet Laureate, as well as the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. So the Arts Council web address is simply www.pgahc.org. And we'd be happy for you to peruse that site and become more familiar with the offerings of the Office of the Poet Laureate, but the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council as a whole. Okay, now I always like to start things off with a poem. So why don't I do a poem and then we'll have Marissa do a poem and we'll be underway, off and running as it were. My poem is titled, Wake Up. Wake up. The bones of our ancestors are rattling in their graves. Winds of unrest have wrapped themselves around the world, pushing us to move beyond comfort. Today we seek word and way for change, to end discontent and discord. No longer can we wait to change ways of old. Our souls step in unified rhythm, marching, calling woke spirits to unite. Shake off yesterday's shackles, both those who bridled and those who broke free. We call all who have been asleep to the no longer looming but all-consuming lethargy, bigotry, sin, and shame, lest we be reduced to Eurobos. We call all to become justice makers, soldiers willing to work to save us, shake us, wake us from a myopic existence, to see that we are all connected. Our world is one. Our hope is one or none. Wake up. Well, that's my kickoff for the celebration of National Arts and Humanities Month. I hope you enjoyed that offering. I'm going to ask Marissa if she would at this time share a poem.
Yes, I've been having a few connection issues.
Oh, okay. Are you able to share at this time?
I've been having some connection issues for some reason. My Wi-Fi is like really cutting out, but I have a poem to share.
Okay, well, we'll give it a shot. Go ahead and share.
Okay, so this poem is titled Midnight in the Forgotten Country. Kikote yon laje commence. Where does a war begin? In the pits of dream-starved children, the ones hungry to capture the promise of a ripe sunrise in their longing mouths and hold on to the taste of freedom for a while longer. Yesterday we were all children. We split the earth with the force of our footsteps. We were baptized in the cool shadows beneath palm trees and devoured fleshy mangoes in celebration. Est-ce que yon laje commence en silence? Does a war begin in silence? Silence like my grandmother in the first breaths of a new day, as she wraps the coils of her hair into fake silks and plasters on a weathered smile. Yo pon chauffer avant le clou. A pot heats before it boils, she tells me. Beneath her clay surface is something like pain. Au soin est-ce que la gente était na boom na yon peta? Or does a war spark in the boom of a firecracker? In my sleep, I hear the wailing of my forefathers. Despair has a voice louder than God's. I imagine the revolutions woven into the tapestry of my lineage. My father drenches each syllable of our family name in pride. Pride, it runs deep and long, a river in my blood. We come alive to the beat of cowskin drums and sweat onto the hot pavement. We glisten gold in the midday sun. L'ayons la guerre finie. When does a war end? My grandfather exhales the dust of rubble and gunpowder and death. Our prayers mimic battle cries, and we lean on each other like soldiers. We bring dronanger, tears, to the altar. I wonder, qui j'en nous commet, qui m'ont quitté gagné? How do we know who has won? We adapt to discomfort, honor sacrifice. Life is a bittersweet melody. We are a chorus, singing anthems to the rhythm of our heartbeats. Mothers give passed down lessons as peace offerings. They say, Timu, pakite avaris krase gratid. Child, do not let greed overpower gratitude. We forget to care. We fill our hearts with fantasies instead. Nighttime is for hoping, for making wishes to shooting stars and dreaming of the impossible. The coming of a new day brings fresh battles, fresh wounds, fresh victories. For now, we hold ourselves in the milky moonlight and offer the air a silent declaration. Nous toujours ici là. We are still here. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Marissa. I always enjoy the flow of your poetry. It's so just engaging, welcoming, and even though I don't speak the foreign language, it's just beautiful to hear. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And your audio was fine. We didn't have any dropouts or anything, so that worked. We'll continue forward. I did put a note in the chat for anybody who's on the that's with us today. If you wish to participate later during the open mic, please be sure to put your name and open mic beside your name so that we can develop our open mic list. And we want to make sure that Josh is capturing those names for us. And we'll be coming back to that a little bit later on. Let's see, we have some, first of all, do we have any youth or teens with us today? Can you just drop your name in the chat if you are a youth or a teen? And I'm saying teen, really 18 and under. So that would be, okay, I thought I had seen one young person, but we have some documents that can be used to craft a poem even during this workshop. And
we do have Ethan who just raised his hand.
Okay, Ethan. Josh, are you able to make that I am poem and the teen I am template available to Ethan? And also for anybody who would like to challenge themselves for creating a haiku during this session. That is another of our documents that provides a very quick template format for creating a haiku. And for those that are not familiar with haiku, it's one of the simplest forms of poetry, one of the briefest. Also, the entire poem is comprised of 17 syllables. Not words, syllables. So the structure is typically 5 words on line 1, 7 words on line 2, 5 words on line 3. And that's the whole poem. But right now we have the I am template up for anyone. And we typically offer this for young persons, but frankly speaking, even seasoned writers have accepted the challenge to share a biographical poem, which, as you see here, is titled I Am Poem. And the lines can be filled in with a single word or phrases or sentences, however extensively you care to share. And this is something that is often done in poetry circles, especially as more or less of an icebreaker to allow the poets to get to know one another. And it can be fun. The fun thing about I Am Poem, you can do it 100 times and have a different I Am Poem by the same person. It changes depending upon your mood. Okay, so that's the I Am Poem template. And again, I'm going to share my contact information. I can email this to anybody after today. We do this series monthly, so you can come back next month and share your creation, with next month's guest. So let me see. Can we put up the you can write the haiku? You too can write a haiku template, Joshua.
Okay.
Well, that's not it. Okay, I have just added my email in the chat. And actually, let me put the other email there too. Okay, so this, as you can see, a very basic template. It can be as whimsical or as serious as you choose for it to be. Haiku originated as a Japanese form of poetry. Oh my gosh, back in the truly 15 something or other, I don't even remember. Basho originated it. And when it first started, there would be chains of haiku. So somebody would write one 3-line haiku, and then somebody else would write another, and they would be lists and lists and lists. It would become a conversation, as it were. So that's the beauty of haiku. And it is challenging. It is absolutely challenging to convey a cogent thought that is meaningful to others in such a way. So haiku is there for you. And this is one of the things that I had posted as a National Arts and Humanities Month challenge. And we've had a few takers and the postings, the haikus have been posted on my Facebook page. So Joy Alford on Facebook, visit and you can see a couple of haikus that have been posted by persons who accepted the challenge. And if you would care to do so, you may post yours as well. You can either email them to me directly to the email addresses that I've posted here, or if you're bold enough and want to post directly to my page without me reviewing it for clarity, then hey, I'll just see if it withstands the test and we'll go from there. So those are two of the rather basic writing forms of poetry that I encourage anyone and everyone to please join us as we continue to celebrate poetry during National Arts and Humanities Month. Now, let's see. The poetry that you heard from Marissa is but one that she will be offering today. We know that she is going to present more during the open mic. As a matter of fact, she will be actually kicking off our open mic, but I want to make sure that everybody has her contact information. also, we have a visual artist with us today, and I am very honored to introduce to some and welcome back to others Alice Plaster, who is our visual artist that is going to give us two pieces of art for us to craft ekphrastic poetry from. Now, ekphrastic poetry is simply one of those words that sounds like, oh my gosh, what is this? All it really is simply a poem that is descriptive of a visual item. Frankly speaking, it could be anything. It could be visual art as what we have today. It could be sculpture. It could be a scene that you're observing in nature, but visual art describes something in such a way that the reader conceptualizes, is able to conceptualize that what is being written about. So there's no particular form, there's no line count, it can be open verse, free verse, sonnet, whatever you want, whatever is comfortable for you, but it should convey without question what it is that you're describing. It should not leave a question upon resolution of the poem. So Alice Plaster is going to be sharing two of her pieces of art. But before she does that, let me share a little bit about Alice Plaster. Alice is a highly regarded visual artist and is very active in the art community. Critically acclaimed, her paintings have received major awards and are exhibited both nationally and, well, regionally and nationally. A longtime favorite of collectors, her canvases can be found in numerous private collections. Her reflective imagery, and that's an understatement, but her reflective imagery is inspired by the glass and metal textures of classic automobiles and is explored in the artist's compositions. Captured in fine detail, her large works are bold and graphic. We have a couple of folks who have spoken about Ms. Plaster. J. Carter Brown, Director Emeritus of the National Gallery of Art, spoke eloquently about her painting 1928 Packard, describing it as a full frontal tour de force of line, texture, technique, subtlety, and meticulousness, while conferring upon her the 1998 First Place Award for Oil Painting. I'm going to stop with the descriptions, but I do want to say that Ms. Plaster's major body of work comprises dramatic oil paintings of classic cars, rendered in a flowing, reflective, ultra-realistic style that takes the viewer's eye past the surface of the painting and into deeper layers of interpretation. We have many, I could say many credits for this wonderful artist. I'm going to have her full bio posted on our Facebook page and added to the announcement for today. But at this time, we're going to ask Alice, first of all, we're going to welcome Alice to today's workshop and open mic. Alice, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Joy. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I've always been very much a supporter of the arts and writing community, so it's a great opportunity to actually share my work and have it used as a prompt. So it's really an honor for me. I've been very active in the community throughout the years, inspired by public school system, going through there, and then going through college at the Maryland Institute of Art. I want to say that it's great to have the support of people, the parents, and other community members. So that's my first thing that I wanted to say.
Okay, well,
As,
thank you so much.
as
I'm happy that our guests get to see some of what you're going to be talking about a little later on during your
Okay.
presentation, but I just wanted them to have a sense of what's coming up. We are going to, I didn't want you to be lingering in the wings while the program is underway, because we want you to participate in Marissa's workshop as well, if you are so inclined. So let's, we know that Marissa Michelle is our workshop facilitator today. She is one who has a, I would say her ability to capture with words so poignantly the story that is life, because there's no area that I've heard her shy away from. So when I say Marissa is who is adept at just conversing in such powerful and poignant ways, she will bring you to an appreciation for the written and spoken word if you never thought you had it before. So Marissa, I'm going to step back and ask for you to come forward and present your workshop for today. Do you have a title or a theme that you've selected?
I do. So could I screen share really quickly?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, so that's actually the theme of this workshop, is how to make your poetry come alive. So that's very on topic. So
Okay.
let me get this set up. So vision, how to make your poetry come alive. This is a very interactive, slightly fast-paced workshop. So if everyone could unmute now, that would be very helpful, because I'm gonna have people reading and calling stuff out. So it would just be a lot easier to be able to do that with your mic off, already off. So first, I'm going to really quickly go over the poetic devices for anyone who needs a brush up or reminder, because it's going to be very helpful for the exercise later. So first, there are some of my favorite poetic devices. So personification, giving human characteristics or traits to non-human things. The examples or quotes that I give are from my poems. So if you see them somewhere else, that's where they came from. So the best composer is the palm tree, or the shadows dance a smooth and rhythmic waltz. And this is personification because shadows or a tree can't dance, can't compose music, but it's just a figure of speech to make it more active. Next is alliteration. We all know, like, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. That's an example of alliteration. It's basically the repetition of the same letter or sound at the beginning of words that are close together. Could someone read out one of the examples that I have?
Few feathers flutter in the wind.
Yes, so that is alliteration because it's the repetition of F, few feathers flutter. Onomatopoeia is a very fun one. It's a word that resembles the sound it describes. Zip, pow, bang, these are all very common ones. And then in writing, I have my memories are like bubbles. They pop, pop, pop in my mind, or I hear the boom of thunder. And also with writing, you can see that you can have many poetic devices working within the same line, because here we also have a simile with my memories are like bubbles. So we get like two poetic devices in one. Rhyme is rhyming words, repetition of similar sounds. So I've provided 3 different sentences here that all have different rhyme schemes. And basically a rhyme scheme is what is the order of the matching of the rhyming words. So for the first sentence, could someone read out the first sentence?
A map of a long life lived could be traced along with the wrinkles and lines etched into her aged face.
Yes, so basically the rhyming words traced and face, they are a rhyme scheme. Different forms of poetry will have different rhyme schemes, like a ballad or a sonnet, which has a very strict rhyme scheme, whereas free verse doesn't have any. You can make it up as you go. The second sentence is an example of A-B rhyme scheme, because we have face and grace rhyming and eyes and disguise rhyming. And we could also have something in poetry called an internal rhyme scheme, where words that are within the sentence are rhyming, but I don't have an example of that here. And then for the third one, I'm gonna ask, could somebody tell me what the rhyme scheme of the third example is?
Is the rhyme scheme an AABB?
Yes, it is, because we have trace and face and cries and die, that rhyme. You could also have, in some cases, like an off rhyme or words that almost rhyme, and that could also count for a rhyme scheme in certain cases. So imagery. Imagery is basically descriptive language. You're describing something, you can describe it very basically, like in the first example, the flowers were tall, right? Or you could mix it with, as I said before, another poetic device. Like in the third example, our bodies sway and swoon like dandelions. We have a simile because you're comparing the bodies to dandelions, but you're also describing that movement. So this all works together to build a more vivid image. We have not only with the way that you see things, but also hear, taste, like basically imagery is in relation to your senses. So we could have something sweet. We have the beat of my heart, which is specific because you have a beat rather than the pounding of my heart, the racing of my heart. Those would all cause different emotions to arise. You have like fleshy mangoes. So it's something that brings the reader in because they can relate to that or they can see it or feel it. So for the first prompt that I'm gonna have, these first few prompts are gonna be smaller, but basically look at something around you in your room, whatever you see, and describe it. And you could describe it as basic or as complicated as you want from the previous poetic devices we've gone around. So I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes and then we can have people share their sentence descriptions, kind of similar to the examples I've given.
Now would be a good time to mute your phones until we come back for this 2 minutes.
Okay, so let's wrap up the final sentence, final words or whatever we're describing. So I'll go first and then we can have everyone go and say something they described if they have it. So I was looking at this perfume bottle that I have on my desk and looking through it. So I wrote, I see through rose-tinted glass a pretty pink obscurity. So I have alliteration with pretty and pink and a description of what I'm seeing. So who wants to go next?
Well, this is Gladys Taylor. I also have a bottle in front of me as well. And I said, it's tall, it's clear, and I can see through it as well. So that's what I have.
Yep, so saying something clear, that's also a description. There's imagery all around us, and when we're writing, we're just trying to capture it. Does anybody else want to share?
I'll share mine, Marissa. Let's see. And now I'm referring to a light, and it's on a pole. So it leans like decisions pacing back and forth like a grandfather unsure of his light. The light pauses and then flickers and dims into a short gaze, goes into night. That's it.
Wow, that was great. I love the fluidity of that and your use of metaphors as well.
Thank you.
Come up with very quickly. Okay.
Outside my window, the wind blows, the trees are making merry and waving at me.
Yes, excellent. The trees are waving, example of personification. So we see already with using these different devices, it's making things more vivid. You can see it in your mind, even if you're not there. So I'll move on to the next
I have one.
There's gonna be...
Marissa?
Oh, yes.
I have one. I just put it in the chat room. As loud as a souped up Ford truck.
Nice. So thank you. And there's plenty of opportunities to share in this workshop. So next, metaphor and simile, which we're kind of getting into with the last few examples that were shared. So a metaphor, a figure of speech, it's the word or a phrase applied to an object which it's not literally applicable to. And a simile is very similar to a metaphor, but a simile, you're using the words like or as to compare two things directly, and a metaphor is more implied. So in the examples, could someone read me the example for metaphor?
A figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable.
Yes, thank you. So that's the definition. And the metaphor that I've example provided is pride. It runs deep and long a river in my blood. So I didn't use the words like or as, but I'm directly comparing this idea of pride to being a river in my blood to give the idea of something that is fully flowing through me, even if it actually isn't in reality. And then similes, I gave a lot of examples of similes because they're kind of easier to write. So she extended her arms wide as the Arabian Sea. So this is an exaggeration, right? No one's arms are as big as the sea, but it gives that idea that it's huge. Or a simile like the sky as black as the dirt on sugarcane fields. I'm comparing the color of the sky to the color of the dirt. So for this prompt, I'm going to give about 4 minutes. You don't have to write 2 metaphors. You could just write 1. And you're going to look again around or not, or you can just think of something and write a metaphor or a simile similar to the ones that I provided here. And I have prompts. You could describe the ocean, sky, mountains, trees. You could describe a feeling. You could describe the atmosphere of your favorite place. So I'm going to give about 4 minutes to write a metaphor or a simile.
Somebody needs to mute their computer.
Okay, so I'm going to give about another minute maybe, and then we can share.
Marissa, I sent you a note in the chat.
Okay. Okay, so before we go into sharing our examples of either metaphor or simile, whichever we wrote, I also just want to quickly touch on my example of simile. She extended her arms wide as the Arabian Sea. As I mentioned before, it's an exaggeration, and it's a large exaggeration, so it would also be considered a hyperbole when it is literally impossible to be that, so to exaggerate a point. So now we can share either a metaphor or a simile. And again, it just had to be like a short line, so don't worry if it's not super long. Mine is just, her eyes are black pearls glittering in the sun. So that would be a metaphor because I'm just saying her eyes are this thing, not like or as. It could be a simile if I said her eyes are like black pearls. So would anyone else like to share?
Yes.
Just go right ahead.
Okay. Once alluring, always ready for a romp, she has become aged and lumpy like a grandmother who continues to comfort you and put you to sleep.
Great. So that's an example of a simile, comparing two things using like.
I have a metaphor. The ache of a sky holding secrets, anguish its soul into swollen clouds, burst into rain that puddles long-awaited release into the splash of freedom.
Beautiful. That's a lot of examples of figurative language and metaphor that I heard in that.
This is Gladys Taylor again, but I don't know if mine's is right or not. But I just put the chill in the air today gives me a chilly feeling to go get something warm.
Well, it is very descriptive. It is like, as we talked in the last slide, imagery, describing something relating to the senses. But I don't think exactly it would be a metaphor or a simile.
Okay.
I have a simile, I think. All right, so my simile is a pawn on a chessboard looks as small as an ant next to the see-through king and queen. And I was looking at these chess
Nice,
pieces.
very creative. Okay, before I go to the next slide, would anyone else like to share?
Yeah, I have a statement. I want to know if you tell me if this is a metaphor or not.
Yes?
Chains held fast as the fixation in the minds of the need for the oppressors to find a way to climb.
I believe that would be a simile because you said as, but yes, you are comparing between two different things.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So the next slide is I think it's very fun. It's the first longer exercise and it's called the Harlem exercise because it's relating to the poem Harlem by Langston Hughes. Would anyone like to read the poem? It's on the right.
Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does
Yes, or does it explode? A very fun poem, and it relates a lot to what we were just talking about because we see similes saying, does it dry up like a raisin in the sun or fester like a sore? But not only is he using metaphor, he's using extremely descriptive language when describing a raisin fester, like a raisin, when describing the rotten meat. Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust over and or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet. Those are both words that use imagery. We also have rhyme here because we have sun, run, meat, sweet. So we can pull out a rhyme scheme from this poem. But basically what we see here is he asks the question, what happens to a dream deferred? What happens to a dream that is put on hold, right? So for our exercise, we're going to write a short poem that thinks about an abstract idea in concrete ways. So we see here, he was talking about a dream. That's something that could be considered an abstract idea because you can't touch it. You can't taste a dream, right? It's intangible or immaterial. So we're going to write a poem that focuses on something that you can't see or touch or taste or hear, you know? So I have these prompts. What does it feel like to be alive? What does love look, sound, or taste like? Apply your senses to feelings, anger, pride, joy, envy. So I'm going to give about 7 to 8 minutes to write a short poem, again, that thinks about one of these prompts using some descriptive language and some of the poetic devices that we've just covered.
Marissa, before we proceed, I do want to bring to everyone's attention that because time is getting away from us, we will be able to share what you create during the open mic today. And if you care to develop it further, we certainly look forward to having you share it during next month's open mic as well. This is something that we could really get our feet into. There's a lot going on here, so please do proceed. We're into our next time slot, but we're going to give about 5 minutes for this.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
While everyone is writing as well, make sure that if you wish to participate in the open mic, that you do put your name and open mic beside your name in the chat, if you've not already done so. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time to move to the open mic section. Am I right, Sister Joy?
Okay, we probably are at that point. If we could have one or two persons that would like to share briefly from their exercise before we transition, that would be fine. And then,
Yes,
so
great. So, would anyone like to share what they've been working on? Obviously, does not have to be anywhere near finished, but just what they have.
I'll share something. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Love delicious, tastes like butterscotch, feels excitingly satisfying as we walk through the park, holding hands while
fresh, alluring, firm.
Below horizon.
Thank you. I think you cut out near the end, but I love the beginning. Would anyone else like to share?
Okay, I will. Glad to be with you all today. Once fresh, alluring, firm to the touch, always ready for a romp and roll. She is aged like a grandmother, often lumpy, but continues to offer comfort. That's an ode to my mattress.
Thank you. That's very fun.
Okay. All right. Well, that's two. So maybe we'll hear a little bit more during the open mic segment. We always love it when we have those impromptu writings. We never know where we're going to go. Dorothy, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And by the way, welcome from Richmond. Yes. We have our visual artist who is, as I introduced earlier, Alice Plaster. And Alice is going to tell us a little bit about two pieces of art that she has brought with her today. Let's see, Joshua has the images available on screenshot. So are we going to do them one at a time, or are we going to have them both up? Joshua, it's on you. Okay, so Alice Plaster, please tell us about your art.
All right. As you can see here, I'm very fascinated with the lines and the reflections and kind of bold shapes that are here. I've been very, I like the textures as well as the light that you can see in these. The one on that you're seeing on the left-hand side, that is Sunday's Showroom, and it's an oil on canvas, and it's 30 by 40 inches. And it is behind me actually too. And then on the right, this one is the Harley Davidson, and that is Sportster 72, and it is 36 inches by 24. And as far as my process, they are done, like I say, in oil. I start with my original images that I am photographing. Then I adapt that into a drawing. And then from there, I work that up and put it into the canvas. I can crop what I want and then take out what I may want to. So that's one good thing about, as far as the artist in creating a piece of work, you can change and manipulate the images according to what composition you want. As far as how it is done, then I just will draw this up on my canvas. Start out with stretched canvas, which is of course white canvas. Then sometimes it will be like a little tone I'll put on it, and then I will then put the drawing on, get that secure as far as the dark, using a little dark pigment. And I do have also over here on, you may see over on the side where I am, this gives an example of where where I am talking, that you can see that this is an earlier picture of my underpainting that I have done. I will do the tonal areas, getting all of the different types of values that you will see, and then I will build up the surfaces. Usually the light areas, I do them opaquely, and the darker areas I build up on different layers with transparent layers. So that is how that's done.
Actually, Alice, before you take that away, Joshua, can we have you remove the screenshot so that we can zoom in on what she was just showing us just for a moment? I think it'll help to get some visual connotation here.
Okay, and I'll put it in front of my face so you can.
Right. Okay. Raise it up a little bit more. There you go. Okay, now tell us what we're looking at here.
All right, this is an underpainting of an earlier work that I did, and I've already put the drawing onto the canvas, and then I've used a Venetian red is the oil paint I was using to do the tonal structure. So I'd like to get that established onto the canvas. Then I will build up the colors. Usually the lighter areas, like you'll see in my reflective images of the chrome, they will be actually built up with more opaque color. Of course, usually white. Of course, you have to keep it very, very light to keep that reflection. And then the others are built up with transparent layers, like more translucent layers. And that was just an example of the tonal system that I have beneath my paintings. Now, people can use other tones underneath, but I would suggest usually that they be fairly, I would say, earth tones or something more neutral, because everything you put on the canvas affects what the colors and the shapes and everything that's going on.
Okay, so, great.
Okay, so that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Can we go back to now the images that the guest will be actually crafting poems describing what these works of art inspired in just viewing them in such a way that allows others to see inside. What does this mean to you? So we're gonna take about 5 minutes to craft poems or excerpts of poems, because we know it's not enough time to do a complete poem, but we do want to have the opportunity to hear what this wonderful work of art, what these wonderful works of art inspires in our poets today. So maybe Joshua could give us a little bit of jazz or something while we're contemplating and writing. So 5 minutes. It's 2:01 right now. At 2:06, we'll be back.
Straight to heaven.
Okay, we are at our mark. Now, let's see, somebody's singing. We want to make sure we're muted if we're not performing. But we do want to now hear some of the ekphrastic poetry that has been crafted and is inspired by the wonderful art by Alice Plaster. So, do we have any volunteers first?
I'll volunteer because I was so excited seeing that motorcycle.
All right.
I waited till the later part of my life to ride motorcycles, but I haven't ridden one in quite a while.
Okay, Lady Di.
It's very short. I was just excited looking at it. Zoom, zoom, away we go, off into a warm breeze on a sunny autumn day. Even at my age, I must say, riding carefree brings a feeling of having my way.
Okay, wonderful. Motorcycles will definitely inspire many. Thank you for that, Lady Di.
Yeah, this is a new poem in making. I don't have one about my enthusiasm about motorcycles.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Beautiful artwork.
Yes. Oh, she's incredible.
It's superb.
Okay, do we have another that will share briefly during this, before we transition to our open mic?
I got one.
Bernardo, wonderful.
Jutting boldly, announcing arrival in style, singing reflections to admirers' smiles. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Make room for sparkling dreams that burst onto the scene. Dramatic.
Ooh. All right. I love it. I love it. And I know that we're using some of the poetic techniques that our Youth Poet Laureate discussed in her presentation. I love it. Wonderful. So we have the collaboration of inspiration from both the visual artist and the Youth Poet Laureate. That's what we're looking for. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bernardo and Lady Di, for picking up that baton and coming forward with beautiful imagery. And we know these poems are inspired by incredible art. And Alice, please put your contact information in the chat for persons that would like to know more about where your art can be viewed, either online or live. And just contact your contact information if they have questions for you. Again, Alice Plaster is our featured visual artist, and she is absolutely incredible in her gift of artistry. Thank you so very much, Alice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, and let's see. As I promised, we're going to begin our open mic, and we have several names that have been provided. Some persons have not chosen to put their name in the lineup for open mic, but I'm going to call on some folks that I know are here, even though I don't see it, unless they tell me no in the chat. But we definitely are very happy to have everybody with us today. Because we have our featured poet, Marissa Michelle, she's going to help us celebrate National Arts and Humanities Month by kicking off our open mic series. And she's going to share 2, possibly 3 poems. If one of them is particularly long, then she'll probably just share two, but 2 to 3 poems to get our open mic underway. Marissa, thank you so much for your workshop earlier. You definitely, as was demonstrated in those offerings from the ekphrastic poetry, you definitely inspired and encouraged writers to move into the direction of describing with those words that that have the sound that they make. And of course, I'm drawing a blank on what that technique is, but
onomatopoeia.
Yes, onomatopoeia. We want to enjoy all the fun techniques of poetry, and that is definitely one with the whoosh of the wind and the burr of the motorcycle, and the it is just wonderful. So why don't I get out of the way and let you share some of your poetry, and then we'll start our lineup of poetry by our open mic, and if time permits, then I'll do a closeout poem. But you can hear me anytime. We want to hear the open mic presenters for now. For Marissa Michelle, Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate for 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share my screen so it'll be a little easier to also read as I read it, because I think that's helpful. But my first poem is titled "The Birds Left Us." The birds left us in the hours when shadows dance, a smooth and rhythmic waltz over our naked streets and cracked sidewalks. In our waking moments, the first thing we notice is the silence, emptiness hanging dry in the air like clothesline laundry, exhaustion imprinted on our bones, sleep still hovering above our eyes, our bodies sway like dandelions in the infant morning. Yesterday, the children carried the wind on their backs and drank sunlight under the ceiba trees, left footprints in the coffee-colored soil. Chaos follows the birth of the new day. It ignites in our hearts and spreads like wildfire. The sweet memory of guava rests on my lips, which now ask my ancestors for guidance, answers, forgiveness. My grandmother clenches her bony hands around the Bible, palms wrinkled and calloused, a testament to aging. She devours holy words with the hunger of a starved animal, spits out psalms like papaya seeds. We press our hands, delicate as paper cranes, to our temples, our heads bowed beneath the weight of fear or hope. The sediment forces hollow valleys into our knees and pushes train track lines into our legs. I wonder where the birds have gone. I thought the world would end in darkness, yet the searing sun's rays leave no escape from the light. Night returns and falls upon us like a crashing wave, ushering in a mysterious tide. What has the moon seen? The all-knowing, her silver glow a vanishing ghost. The beat of my heart is rhythmic. Da-dum, 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 the start to an unfinished symphony. Escaping from my throat, a warbled cry, too ugly to be song, too bold to be the humble notes of mourning. I feel a brush against the cage of my ribs, a flapping, a forceful push, something like feathers, something like wings. Thank you. That's the first one.
Oh, wonderful. Woo, woo, woo.
Okay, and my second one, and since both of these are medium to long, I'll just have this be my last one. So, where we eat mangoes and plantains for breakfast. In the early morning, the sky is the color of pomegranate flesh. Our mothers rise before the sun, fill the kitchen with the bitter scent of coffee grounds and the sound of tired feet on wooden floors. The children run, power revolutions with the force of their footsteps. I too chase a wind strong enough to carry me. My grandmother walks the barren streets, her legs so long they earned her the nickname Árbol, tree, when she was younger, and had not yet begun to bend or snap. Children are too curious. That is, we ask too many questions. We ask, do you see starlight in the glow of a cucuyo beetle? Our gray-haired mothers say, no hay tiempo para preocuparse por tales cosas. There is no time to worry over such things. Our mothers grow tired of repeating themselves. We will grow tired of asking. I saw my mother smile. as she hung the clothes to dry, and I wondered what she was dreaming of. The men are always talking, always saying something important. They tell me el silencio es una virtud en las niñas jóvenes. Silence is a virtue in young girls. I see a desperation in their coal-black eyes, always burning, always searching for another fire. I cannot stop the weeds from growing in the back of my throat, where a garden of sweet hibiscus flowers ought to be. My hums join the clicks and buzzes and songs of the birds and small insects. I wish to sing louder than them all. In my dreams, my voice reaches across oceans. Here, the days plunge into nights like our bodies into the sea on a warm summer day. When it is time to eat, we gather around the table. Let the air hold us in a warm embrace. Hunger bubbles in the pits of our stomachs. My grandmother speaks a prayer into the world. Her voice is low, deep, heavy as the silver cross sitting on her chest, heavy as the pain which weighs down her shoulders. When she is done, we, mothers, fathers, children, lower our clasped hands, raise our downcast eyes, and feast. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you, Marissa. Your poetry is just incredible. Can we unmute everyone and just show some applause and appreciation for our 2020 Youth Poet Laureate? Please join me in saying thank you for kicking off the open mic segment of this National Arts and Humanities Month celebration. Your poetry is just so inspiring. Thank you, Marissa.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you.
Yes. Fantastic. Phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Wow. I'm going to try to put some of that form to my poetry.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's see. Joshua, I have a list here. Do you have a list? Do you want to call or do you want me to call?
I'll call names. So next we'll have Martin Gray.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, and greetings from England. I'm a bit shy, so apologies if I've been a bit quiet so far. But it's really nice to come along. I saw this on Eventbrite, and I really fancy giving it a go. And it's really nice to meet everyone. I'm really enjoying the workshop and all the poems. So I hope you enjoy my poem. I'll do this one, and if I've got time, I'll do the Harlem exercise as well.
Okay.
This is called Escape Velocity. I want to be an astronaut. I want us to break escape velocity and soar beyond our atmosphere from Earth to outer space. I want us to fly into Madrid to Mount Fuji, fit inside our warm embrace. I want to be an astronaut. I want us to sit on space debris, blowing our anxiety away until we see unpolluted skies 24 hours a day. I want to be an astronaut. I want us to sail to Mars on solar winds, build castles in its dark red sand. I want us to jump in its 0.4 of Earth's gravity as high as we can. I want to be an astronaut. I want us to hitch a ride off Halley's Comet through the asteroid belt, slingshotting ourselves to Saturn, where I'd get some rings for your co-pilot fingers, and we paint Stephen Hawking's soul on Titan's orange-black canvas. I want to be an astronaut. I want us to lasso Voyager 2, swing ourselves through the Kuiper belt towards her, past the spot where our older sister cocked her head to palely dot our insignificance, so we can tell her she hasn't been forgotten by giving her a hand through the Hellier sheath. I want us to push her so third law hard we'd launch ourselves back to our cleaned up Earth with just enough time to shout at Pluto, "You'll be a planet again," and to break through Europa's ice to swim with the undiscovered life in its unexplored liquid methane. I want to be an astronaut. Come with me.
Martin, that was incredible. I have to ask, I see you reading from a book. Is that your book?
It is. I'm very British about plugging it, but yeah, it is my book. It was released in September, so I can drop my details in.
For us? Can you put it in the chat?
I certainly will. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll put a link to it. Absolutely, I will do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna see if we can come back to everybody, but one poem each, and we'll definitely try to get everybody in. And if we can come back and later do the workshop poem, that'll be awesome as well. Thank you so much. Again, that was Martin Gray, all the way from England. Thank you. Okay, Joshua, who's up next?
Next up, we have Sophia Michelle. And Sophia, we ask that you turn your camera on so folks in Facebook land can see you.
I don't think she has anything for the open mic. She's my sister. I think she's saying
okay.
Just that she's like she's younger than me, basically.
Okay, no problem.
She said to check the chat, actually. She said to check the chat. I don't know if...
Yeah.
Is there some... Oh, yeah.
Okay, understood.
Oh, yes, so she was saying she raised your hand for the youth, not for the open mic. In the beginning, remember when there was the question about asking?
Understood, thank you. So next up, we'll have Dorothy Rice.
The title of this poem is Tambourine. When this pandemic is over, I'm going to buy me a tambourine and shake it over my head and shoulders, just like my Aunt Catherine. And all the Holy Ghost dancing 2 steps before sitting, sanctified and serene. Oh, the ladies danced and stomped Satan under their feet with a Holy Ghost power none dare to retreat. So when this chaos is over, I'm going to sing, shuffle, shake, and shout for the audacious angels that brought us out of danger, seen and mostly unseen. When I shake my tambourine, like the saints in my church and my Aunt Catherine. First responders, nurses, doctors, clerks in drugstores, service stations, and groceries, all those VIPs performing essential works. I'm going to keep praying for them, my joy and gratitude brimming over while I dance with my tambourine, just like my Aunt Catherine.
Oh my goodness. I want a tambourine. Actually, I have a tambourine. I wish I had it in this office with me now. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. That was Dorothy Rice from Richmond, Virginia. And we are very happy to have you with us again, Dorothy. I love your poetry. And for those that don't know, Dorothy Rice is also a wonderful visual artist. So welcome again, and thank you for your offering during this National Arts and Humanities Month celebration. Okay.
Okay, next up we have Bernardo.
Turning on my camera. Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Hey, it's coming.
Okay, could everybody else also prepare for your call on open mic? Have your poem ready to go. We're tight on time. Thank you.
That's the poem. Hey, it's coming. Flowing through the desert like a stream. People, camels, horses, a caravan of dreams. Can your mind expand when music motivates your heart? It was not hard for me demanding when I heard his guitar and the cymbals in the background, the percussions in the bass, the saxophone, the keyboard chiming to a supple pace, a melody moving me happily, serene, instruments presenting a caravan of dreams, a caravan, a caravan, a caravan of dreams. And that's the song that was playing. It's by Peter White, Caravan of Dreams, because sometimes when I'm listening to music, words just flow into me like a muse, you know? So that's my homage to Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bernardo is known as the sing-song poet, so music is always a part of his creativity. Thank you, Bernardo.
Next up, we will have Lady Di.
Okay, unfortunately, my poem is in my phone, so I won't be able to, you won't be able to see me while I'm reading it. Southern lovers. Love, oh love, perpetually tickles my exhilarated heart. Ecstatic to be reunited. Hour after hour, we sit in handmade wooden rocker under giant magnolia down by river's bank. Silver strands shine and glisten our hair. From dawn to dusk, delightful, darling days gone by, we reminisce. So many stories connected and counted into passionate, pleasing platoon. Remembering our favorite dessert yesterday, I made a sweet love cake. 3 buttery homemade layers made from scratch. Each layer spread with Milky Way nugget, stacked and covered in fluffy, creamy milk chocolate icing. Generously sprinkled with our favorite nuts, fresh pecan halves, ooze like old-fashioned hearty love and laughter, shared between lovers with each bite. Each deliciously moist slice. Thank you.
Oh, Lady Di. Lady Di is the love poet. And I'm telling you, that love poem was awesome. Thank you so much. And I had been putting it off, but I'm convinced now, after this session is over, I will be baking a cake.
All right. Yes. Well, you can always call on me to help.
Thank you, Lady Di. Thank you, Love Poet. Oh, that cake. It's just, oh, I hope
Southern lovers.
Yes, I hope mine meets the mark. Okay.
It will.
Joshua, who do we have next?
Next up will be Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hi.
It's good to be here.
Hey, Liz.
Hi. I have a poem called Pearl Moon with Clouds, and it's dedicated to a poet named J.C. Todd in Philadelphia. Full moon rises in winter sky, cold clouds race. One a dragon with open mouth does not eat the moon. Moonlight glints on patches, remnant snow. Moon rises above neighbor's peaked roof. Cloud hands cup moon, then release. Moon sails on. Cloud veils kiss moon, drape in filaments of ice and wind, hide, reveal, write cloud language in cursive. Your hair is the color of moonlight, luminous in the winter dark. Pearl, priceless, radiant, glistens in blue-black January sky space. The moon, the light, curves into clouds continuously, climbs inches higher. Clouds reconfigure, reflect beauty, sun.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that one. That's beautiful. Elizabeth, I love it. I'm getting to know you more and more through your poetry. You know, I met you initially as the sibling of a poet, and now I see that you're a poet in your own right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay.
And one more thing, Joy. I have a gift for Dorothy. Dorothy, are you with us?
Thank you.
I brought my tambourine.
All right.
Way to go. Way to go. Wonderful. Thank you, Liz. Okay. Joshua, who do we have next?
We're wondering if Miss Diane Wilburn Parks would like to share.
I apologize for the delay. I will share, but unfortunately, I cannot reveal my appearance this time. This is Saturday, so I apologize for that. But my poem is about the writing prompt, which is the ekphrastic poem. And it was the left image that I wrote about. It just took me somewhere. So this is that poem. This is Alice's imagery. Yeah, the left one. I slip in between the grill and find the tear-shaped reflection encapsulating me into a walk inside the very end of a window's reflection that I open as curiosity invites me into its headlight and beyond the space of then, where I fall into the beautiful web-like reflected grill that offers me a bird's eye view in a time that travels beyond the headlight and back to my mother's soft hand as she waits for me to reach up and as she grabs my 7-year-old life inside her hand. We curl into traffic and on the other side of an intersection, protesting the mirror reflection of our wings completely extended and raced into these southern winds that push back and do not tell you how long these downtown stores will continue its boycott. I wanted the windows to ask me in. I wore my Easter dress from the outside of a dress shop's window, never bought, never knew what the smell of its new on my skin was. I go back out and find my eyes drifting back onto the silver and onto a grill that looks outside of its window. I walk out of my vision of Georgia and back into the headlight and then into Maryland. I need this headlight as it sparkles the souls of memories. I am freed from the whole of a southern past that embers from glass and metal, and each of its 28 squares that I find a story and a parade waiting to shine.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
That is beautiful. That is just beautiful.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. And that's so interesting that she got so much going through there because of that. My imagery has someone outside that window, and then yet she incorporated it for her own personal. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Diane.
Yeah, you're welcome, because when I was looking at the imagery, it looks like a window, but it could be the reflection of the grill. So it just offered itself to me to walk in there, and then whatever happened beyond that happened.
That was incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that should be partnered with the art whenever you exhibit that next.
I do believe.
Oh, that was fabulous. Thank you so much. Again, that was Diane Wilburn Parks, who is the founder of The Right Blend, a poetry ensemble in Prince George's County, who is also a visual artist in her own right. So she clearly is an incredible poet. And we know that the art forms take on many manifestations. So thank you, Alice. Thank you, Diane. And I'm just going to wait and see. The first time I see those two in public, I know it's coming. I'll just prophesy right here, right now. Thank you very much. Okay. And Joshua, who do we have next?
It looks like you were next, unless you want to give others another chance.
I saw Patricia Habersham. Is Patricia Habersham still with us?
She is. I thought she wrote no poetry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Okay. Well, then, yes, I will share a poem. and then we'll start back around for anybody who wants to share either from the workshop or a second shorter poem. And if everybody can be getting their poems ready for round 2, that would be great. My poem, some of you may have recently heard, but I'm on the campaign trail encouraging everyone to please vote. So this is my poem titled, Why Do I Vote? Why do I vote? It's my privilege, duty, and responsibility. As a Black woman who invokes her sacred right to stand proud, despite this corrosive landscape where many would annihilate voices like mine. Why do I vote? As the embodiment of Black power, not merely in my family, but throughout my community and society. I lay claim to the reality that my future and my children's future, and even theirs, my lineage for all of perpetuity, count on my voice through my vote to be heard. Why do I vote? It's the affirmation long before and after Obama's Yes, We Can, that I did, have, and will forevermore throughout my lifetime stand in whatever line holds captive those brave souls determined to cast their ballot, to stand tall, shout back into the face of oppression and disregard, despite tactics like voter suppression or even pathetic candidate selection. Why do I vote? I will never shirk my constitutionally authorized, God-given assignment available to all free and thinking beings, those who are committed to ensure that generations from now, Black ink scribbled on ballots or levers pulled or electronically captured keystrokes in private booths echo against injustice, holler in the ear of wrongful and unjust decision makers, legislators, lawyers, and other privileged landowners who presume to discount my views and voice. Oh, I will march and protest, but make no mistake, I will vote. I will invoke my sovereign right and vote. I will be heard beyond street shouts and courtroom wails and resultant prison visitations whenever injustice rolls over marginalized communities that land sons and daughters in jail. Hear me well, I will vote to honor, pay homage to each ancestor whose homes were burned to the ground, whose bodies were found in rivers, or whose souls floated heaven-bound as their bodies swung from poplar trees. Despite knees on necks and other pandemics, I will always vote. I will become informed and remain engaged long before and after Election Day. Learn all I can about candidates and issues because it's my right. It's my life. Why do I vote? It's my hope, my voice, my choice, my form of protest. It's my right. The question is not, why do I vote? But why would I not? Thank you. I hope everyone has certainly registered to vote and will vote If not before, then by November 3rd. Joshua, who do we have up next?
All right. So far in the comments, we have Bernardo who'd like to go again.
Bernardo, please do.
I'm here. I
Yes.
am here. Yes, ma'am. Trying to get my camera up because I know he wants me on the screen. There we go. How humble the stumbles we make, the steps that we take. This is but a stumbling stone, a pebble, a shingle, a rock, not boulder nor a mountain. It cannot make you stop, but only for a moment, the atonement that it takes to recognize the lies, the spies, distractions, and mistakes. Take your next step forward in answer to your call. A stumble is just a mere misstep and not a fatal fall. Thank you.
Wonderful, Bernardo. I love it. Very good.
Lady Di.
Thank you. Just want to say that the early voting starts on Monday, where you can walk in with your vote. Make sure you vote. Our ancestors are still speaking to us. Wait on their stories. They come with ease, not forced. Whatever we are going through, someone else is going through it too. Let life inspire you. Be ever so kind, so loving, so fine, so moving, so worthy to celebrate. Celebrate good times. Make sure you vote. Begging you not to ignore this blessed opportunity. Be a part. Take it to heart. Our ancestors did their part. Yes, yes, yes. They got into good trouble so we could have our say. So today, make a promise to ourselves. Say, I'm going to vote and I'm going to take someone else with me. Be a part of history. Be a part of change. Be a part of fresh new start. Fill our lungs with love and light and add a smile bright. Bring extra delight. Make sure you vote.
All right. Thank you, Lady Di. Did I hear that before?
Yes.
I don't know. It just struck me differently today. It just feels brand new. Thank you.
Pins. I wrote it for the pins.
And I knew you must have, and for whatever reason. Anyway, love it. Absolutely love it.
Different atmosphere, but we must vote.
Thank
so we
you.
both had that, yes. And we must continue to encourage others to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good trouble. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. We're not.
Our friend from across the pond, Martin, is next.
Wonderful.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is in no way going to compare to the wonderful politically motivated poems the last few have been, and I completely echo all of those sentiments. So this won't be as good as that, but I'll do my best. So this is going to be back to the ekphrastic poem from the workshop, if that's okay. No title. You are pristine. The sunshine infused in your readiness to hit the road, to show and not be showed how to make your streets a better place. You are not rusting away, not weathered and unserviced, not to be careful above second gear. You are here to glow, to go somewhere and make a difference.
I love it. Yes, very. And that was for the one on the left, or was it the motorcycle?
The one on the right, the motorbike.
The motorbike. Okay, the motorbike, as you would say. we motorcycle here, but motorbike. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. It was beautiful. Alice, I hope you enjoyed that.
Yes, I certainly did. Yes, I certainly did. Thank you so much. I really think that's a wonderful imagery that you came through in your words. Thank you so much. Across the pond. Thank you.
Okay, Joshua, do we have another?
Next up is Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to take you to Arizona, to the desert. Desert Botanical Garden. You've seen a hummingbird fly, zooming around a flower, sipping nectar on the run. Perhaps a hummingbird resting motionless on a branch, raw energy in pause mode. Lucky observers catch hummingbirds bathing in shallow pools, tiny depressions in the rock where raindrops gather. Rarer still to hear a hummingbird song, fragile notes escaping from that tiny throat, musical, ethereal, happy chirping, timeless.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Take us to the desert. I've never been to the desert, so thank you. But I love hummingbirds. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Joshua, where are we?
Patricia Habersham has stated she has a poem she'd like to share now.
Okay, fabulous. Welcome, Patricia. Unmute, please. Start over again after you unmute.
Woke up waiting for the sunset, a beautiful sight to see. Autumn has seasoned, red, orange, and brown leaves falling to the ground. Went for a ride gliding down the summerish air, people enjoying. This is a day God has given us to see and visualize. Despite the pandemic, cover your mouth and nose and enjoy the air.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a fall day and we're all feeling it. I love it. Was that inspired by the art or was that a piece that you had already written?
Well, I just wrote it just a minute ago.
So I'm going to claim it was inspired by the art. Wonderful.
Yes, it was.
Thank you so much. Well, Alice, you're continuing to create, even though you haven't picked up a brush during this session. Thank you. That's the beauty of art. That's the absolute power and beauty of art. Thank you, Patricia Habersham, for that wonderful poem. And Patricia Habersham, like Lady Di and I, are members of the Ebenezer Poetry Ministry, whose members are known as the Anointed Pens. And PENS is an acronym for Poets Empowered to Nurture Souls. So we're very happy to represent here today. And thank you again. Joshua, who's up next?
Looks like you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stay with my theme. Of course, it's what I'm about these days, poetry and voting. Those are my two anchors until after November 3rd. So this one is titled My Father's Hat. And I should have gotten it out to put in the chair behind me, but I'll share it, the poem nonetheless. My father's hat. Actually,
oh, how dear.
Yes, but a moment. My father's hat. My father's hat, that tan, stingy brimmed summer straw, holds a story all its own. Now in permanent repose, that hat sat atop the guest room coat rack these past 20+ years, angled just as he would have liked. He'd always worn his hats just so. And this summer straw, was his favorite, whether to shop or just walk. Never learned to drive, so making groceries was part of his regimen. A morning walk, greeting neighbors, forefinger touching the tip of his brim, offering a gentleman's smile, an ever so gentle nod for the ladies. Such was his way here up north. He bought that hat back in Georgia, packed it safe for the train ride north. Years before that first election day in '64, when DC got the vote. He wasn't one to boast, but never again would his be denied. And yes, voting was a matter of pride, but oh, so much more. Too many had paid the cost, countless injustices, so many lives lost. For him, voting was required. It was duty. Each trip to the polls was a private thing, just him, always wearing that hat. Reverently, he'd enter the booth that allowed his voice to join the chorus of ancestors who'd paved the way. In his mind's eye, he'd stand in front of a long line of folk, black and white, in some southern town that prevented folk like him from even thinking about voting. So now, for his grandfather, whose house in Norcross, Georgia, burned to the ground while he talked one night too many to neighbors about poll taxes and literacy tests. For his grandmother, who'd scrubbed floors till she was 70 so his mother could stay in school. So after adjusting his best Sunday overcoat, then donning his out of season summer straw, after cocking it just to the right angle, just enough to proclaim pride without arrogance, then lowering it just enough to pay homage to those who never got the chance. He walked up to that polling place, only removing the hat after getting inside. But once that curtain closed, then it was just him and the hat. That's when he stood tallest of all, pushed that hat way back, that special way that said to the entire universe and its creator, here am I, Lord, having my say. Despite centuries of slavery, decades of discrimination and denial that broke the back and spirit of more, so many more, here am I. But before pulling the lever that delivered dignity, he reached up, tapped the brim, then straightened that hat as if in salute to Almighty God himself, then whispered words that acknowledged his plight, but strengthened and emboldened his soul. John here, sir, weary but reporting for duty one more time. For John. Thank you so much. Again, please vote. Many paid the price. Please vote. Do we have another Joshua?
Yes, it looks like we have just two more, so these will be the final two.
Okay.
First, we'll go with Gladys.
Yes, it's Gladys Taylor. Thank you. I'm just so thankful to be a part of this year's 2020 National Arts and Humanity Poetry Celebration Month. And I'm also going to do one on voting. It's called Your Right to Vote. My dear fellow Americans, now is the time to renew ourselves from the lockage and bondage we have been forced in. We have come a very long way, so we don't want to see ourselves turning around because of some bad laws or non-believers who want to enforce their opinions on the old, poor, and people of color. We must stand up for our liberty of justice and walk boldly to the polls and voice our rights and opinions of the law. Thanks to our great forefathers and foremothers, we want to continue to be fighters for the right to cast our vote. Vote, vote, vote. Thanks, we can hold our head up high and march with dignity and pride to the voting poll and make a difference by letting our voice be heard. You might think your vote won't count, but it will. So vote, vote, vote. Let's help our leaders know that we are standing up for our rights and declaring victory over the land for our legal rights. I'm proud to be an American. So my fellow Americans, go out and vote, vote, and vote, for you have that right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Gladys Taylor, Gladys Whitmire Taylor, missionary Gladys Whitmire Taylor, who is also a member of the Anointed Pens of Ebenezer AME Church. We are in the house today. Thank you all for your support of this series, of this celebration. And that was a powerful, powerful word. Thank you.
And our final open mic participant will be Diane Wilburn Parks.
Wonderful. Okay, close us out, Diane. I know you can.
I'm going to read a poem that will be an excerpt from a longer poem, because I know that in the interest of time, I want to get at least a little bit of this poem in. And this was a poem prompt from Grace Cavallari, the Maryland State Poet Laureate, to just go in an elevator of your life, you know, your years. So this poem is from the 12th floor when I was 12 years old. So I'll just read a little bit of it. It's Poet from the 12th Floor, Beautifully Stained Eye. Daydreaming this skin, still dark, inside the waking years of blue and yellow. My mind's beautifully stained eye smells of mildew, of soft wrinkles, of questions that time has answered and laid to rest. These miniature doors that chime and wait impatiently close abruptly with me in its swallow. I am panicked, walking through these white halls of this makeshift memory that breathes in and allows me to disturb its light. This is the memory that collects birds and pages. The world was such a mystery then. Still now, I wonder, what will I bring back from the 12th floor? I have always been a poet, and at times a bird bending the earth with song. At times the only witness to gaze through the God-stretched years that look back unevenly at unwindowed frames that glow of such innocence. I wandered through time and these long gone memories like paper drifting along the edges of my mother's sacred mountains. We climbed them together, and I will leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane Wilburn Parks. Such beauty, such eloquence. That is your signature. We appreciate such a wonderful close. This does conclude today's National Arts and Humanities Month celebration. We were honored to feature Marissa Michelle, the Prince George's County 2020 Youth Poet Laureate, and we're absolutely also honored to have featured our visual artist, Alice Plaster. I think everybody who was on this Zoom today has a brand new appreciation for an artist that perhaps you didn't know about, but she is one of Prince George's County's own. So we're very honored to let the community know about the excellence that we have, both in poetry and with our Youth Poet Laureate, Marissa Michelle, and with our visual artist, Alice Plaster. And of course, the program could not have happened, could not have been successful without each of you, our guest poets for the afternoon. We're thrilled that we had a youth poet with us. We're thrilled that we had an international visitor. We hope that it will not be the last time. We know that we had somebody from Richmond, Virginia with us. We had many members of the Ebenezer Poetry Ministry with us. So there are just so many that it took to make this celebration complete, and everybody contributed beautifully. Thank you so much for all that you gave. Next month, our celebration of poetry will be the Literacy Through Poetry on Saturday, November the 28th. Our featured poet will be Neville Adams. Many of you may know him as the Phoenix Rising. He is also an educator. He's a English professor at, Parkdale High School in Prince George's County. And he is one that works also, he's a co-founder and co-director of the Youth Poet Laureate program, along with Patrick Washington. So Neville Adams will be bringing his powerhouse poetry, because he is known for his powerhouse poetry, next month. And our visual artist will be Cindy Williams. So we look forward to seeing everybody 1 o'clock on Saturday, November 28th, from 1 to 3. Bring your poems that you started today for the open mic if you didn't get a chance to share them or complete them. And we look forward to hearing from you. So until next month, I know I'll be seeing many of you on other Zoom platforms, but for this series, we'll see you on the 28th. Keep writing, stay safe. Blessings to all.